Hey, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is your news and week in review, where we're going to go through a variety of things from news, the games I've played, the games we've covered this past week, videos of the past week, creator spotlight, and more. Links and timestamps to everything down below. Let's go and start off with news. We got a few pieces of news this week. Big ones, well, big is relative, I guess, depends on what you care about, but starting off the bat, we have Mythic Games over on Board Game Wire that no, Mythic Games has not gone into liquidation, but its fate should be decided by the end of the month. Earlier this week, if you were on various forms of social media, there were a lot of news pieces being thrown around about how Mythic Games had filed for bankruptcy, and a lot of people being like, well, this is it, this is the end, and to be fair, that's a reasonable assumption, and it may yet still be true, but it wasn't actually because of everything going on there. I checked out, I dug a bit deeper into it, try to figure out if this is just like rumors or whatnot, and fortunately for me, Board Game Wire had already done the work, because they basically, they did not go into bankruptcy themselves. What they did is they filed one of their various entities, they basically closed down. So it's a specific one of their sub-entities that they closed, but Board Game Wire reached out to them and they have confirmed that they're still establishing whether it's sustainable or whether they can possibly salvage things and continue to deliver what is outstanding, or whether it's all done and over. I would say if you are someone who has still Mythic Games on the line, I would advise you to assume that you're not getting them, just to keep your hopes on the reasonable expectation side, but you may still get them. Keep your eyes tuned for whatever else comes next. Over there on the other side of things going well, we have Monumental Delivering and African Empires. This one, a bunch of people have confirmed they've been getting shipping notifications. I have gotten my own as well, so I should have Monumental showing up my way soon, which is always going to be interesting because I'm almost certainly going to do an unboxing because I like Monumental. I'm excited for this to show up and be around, but there's the tricky part about the fact that there's going to be a lot of people who are upset that this game exists, gets any press or coverage of any kind. If it helps, I don't know. We'll see. Either way, Monumental has finally shipped. It's been a very long road, but at least this is a road with a semi-happy ending to it. We also have from Board Game Wire again, Matagot is no longer publishing games like Kemet, Inish, and they are shifting to family-focused titles. Matagot is famous for a lot of different games, but their games span a wide spectrum of who they're for, and over the years they found that they have been leaning more into the casual family side of things and less so on the Kemet, Inish, Galactic Renaissance, all of those types of games. Those games are not disappearing, rather they're going to be offloading them to Colossal. So Colossal is going to be taking over those lines and taking over those heavy games, which fits more into their line of games. We actually have Western Legend Stories on the table over here, well, the couch over here, which we'll talk about briefly at the end. But either way, that's basically some slight news of Matagot. It's not a major change, at least I don't think it is, because the games should still be available and these lines of games should still exist. It's just a change of who's actually responsible for them and publishing them, we hope. But obviously, well, I mean, I hope. I like those games. But obviously, whenever something shifts, there's always the uncertainty and unknown, so we'll see how that plays out. And then lastly, if you are someone who has not tried this and are not aware of this, BGG just opened its Secret Santa for 2024. BGG runs a giant Secret Santa every single year where you basically enter and you're going to be giving gifts to someone and then getting gifts from someone else. Ideally, that's how it plays out. So it's a little bit of a round robin of you're going to be someone else's target, you're going to have a target, and then they have wish lists and you get to go ahead and send games and get games, and it's just very fun and falls into the whole holiday spirit of like, there's something nice about giving someone a package of games and then seeing them be excited. They won't know who gave it to them, but they'll be excited. There's posts people can share what they got. They don't know who sent it, but you might see your target being super excited that they just got those 2 or 3 games off the wish list. At the same time, you'll have an unknown package of games heading your way that you'll get excited about. So if you haven't participated in these kinds of gift exchanges, they can be very fun. Make sure to check out BGG Secret Santa. That's something cool. And also, if you're a super awesome person, they have a thing every year where they basically have these super Santas that are effectively there for to make right on people who flaked. Because the sad reality is you can have people through one reason or another who unfortunately something doesn't work out, it flakes, packages are missing, and so there are people who will give extra without expecting anything in return if you find yourself of that slightly more generous nature. And that's what we have for the news this week, which means we're going to go ahead and move on to our creator spotlight. The past few weeks, the ones I've done a publisher, I've done a designer, and I've done a content creator. And this week we're going to do all 3 while sticking with a single person. Our creator spotlight of the week over here is going to be Sfynx Games. You see, Sfynx Games does a little bit of everything, and you probably know about most of what they do, but in case you don't, you're about to find out today. See, Jamey Stegmaier, he's designed a bunch of games. He was the original source of, Sfynx games. From there, they have started to incorporate a lot more designers into their catalogs, obviously, and now they run the whole Sfynx Games, umbrella of everything with incredibly popular titles from Scythe to Wingspan to Viticulture, all of that and more. And then, the most recent hits, Apiary, one of my favorites is going to be Expeditions. They just came out with Stamp Swap and the Apiary expansion most recently. And so they are an incredibly popular publishing company that has put out a lot of games that no matter what Stonemaier does, it's met with expectations and hype and buzz. Sometimes they're met, other times they're not, but something about Stonemaier has managed to make a huge presence in the industry as far as just everything they do has the excitement of a crowdfunding campaign without doing a crowdfunding campaign, which is very hard for a publisher to achieve that. It's very easy for people to say, hey, you should go off of crowdfunding and just do your own thing, but there's a degree of publicity and buzz that comes with crowdfunding that elevates a product, and Stonemaier Games has managed to keep that without being on crowdfunding, which is absolutely rare. So kudos to whatever Jamey's managing to doing on that side of things. So Jamey's a designer. He designs a bunch of games. He's created this company and continued to grow it and do incredibly well with it. And he's also an incredible source of information. If you haven't checked out Stonemaier Games' blog, make sure to check out their blog, especially if you're someone who's launching games or trying to run a game store or anything like that. There's an absolute wealth of information in Stonemaier Games' blog where he puts out articles every single week, sometimes multiple times per week, and they are incredibly useful in terms of the amount of subjects that he hits, the amount of topics he covers, whether it's something currently topical in the board game space, whether it's something that's generic advice that's worth mentioning, whether it's something he's encountered in his own personal life this past week and he's trying to incorporate it, you will find an absolute wealth of information on his blog. I highly recommend you subscribe to it, almost regardless of who you are. It is going to be incredibly useful to you as a publisher, as a designer, as a creator, as someone running crowdfunding, but it might just be inspirational in any number of ways. I find that he'll just post things that are just useful to think about. He had a thing recently about just literally productivity hacks and staying focused and small things like that. And that's useful to any of us. I think it's useful to any of us. It can be useful to any of us. So definitely check out his blog. It's very well done and a wealth of information, but we're not done there because he also has an Instagram and a YouTube as well. His YouTube channel, which is, 50,000 subscribers. Again, he's doing a little bit of everything. He's a designer, publisher, one of the larger tabletop content creators in the industry. He does a lot. It's a little embarrassing sometimes. But either way, Stonemaier Games, I say, Jamey Stegmaier on his YouTube. He runs live streams every single week. He posts content on a regular basis. My favorite game mechanism, all these different lists and things. He just really has an absolute ton of information for you in any number of different platforms. His Instagram will also be a little look behind the scenes of anything from his disc golf to what's going on with his cats to, again, board game related topics, because that is ultimately the central pivot, central point or whatnot. But that's basically our creator spotlight of the week. Jamey Stegmaier, who does a little bit of everything in a little bit of an insane way, and is definitely someone worth paying attention to, not just for the games he creates, but rather for the content he puts out well outside of that. So kudos to Jamey Stegmaier for everything you've done for the board game space and hobby. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the videos of the week. Videos of the week, usually I cover the videos I've done that are not, specific to board games, not specific to specific games, and then I cover, the specific games. The problem is this past week, because we are so focused on a lot of crowdfunding games that had a lot of videos coming, we only have one non-specific video that went up this week, which is 2 back and not to back. Just on Monday, same old 2 back and not to back, covering crowdfunding games. We'll have another one coming up this Monday. I don't know if we'll have one next Monday. I'll be visiting Poland, and I don't know if I'll be able to get one up beforehand, so we may have to take a break that week. But we'll see. We'll take a look and we'll see. In any case, though, moving on from there to the games I've covered this past week, we have Royal Hospital went up this past. So Royal Hospital had a gameplay going up this past Saturday. I've talked about it already. I enjoy Royal Hospital, but I'm not overly pulled in by it. I think it's a good game. I think ultimately it kind of leans into what Terraforming Mars is doing, but I prefer a lot of things about Terraforming Mars, including the non-player determined ending. So, meaning the player determined ending. I prefer it when a game has things happening that eventually cause an end as opposed to a fixed number of rounds like Royal Hospital does. So overall, I enjoy Royal Hospital. I think I prefer Terraforming Mars, which it does seem loosely based on. Then Meg did an unboxing for Draconis RPG. That's going to be a peaceful RPG. I don't know much about this. She's going to be covering this one. There'll be a further preview on the game as well, but it's an RPG space. It has cute dragons, and it seems to be leaning less into combat and more into, well, cute dragons. So if that seems like your thing, check it out. I have seen the artwork of this, and it does look incredible. But again, RPGs are not my forte, so I can't give you much information there. We had a Primal challenge going up Tuesday morning. That was facing off against, oh my gosh, Diggerax, I think. I can never remember all the names, but whichever one we faced off against, the first Primal challenge that we did win, very narrowly, but we did manage to win, breaking through with lots of wounds and almost close to death, but we did manage to successfully accomplish the challenge, not on Nightmare mode, but I don't have plans to try to do nightmare mode. And one of the challenge goals was to not have sand in a single space, which means to kind of not go to a single space ever, which I just can't imagine that having ever played out well for us. So we won. Didn't score the highest, but at least we did accomplish it. But again, and Primal, I still love Primal. I still find it so satisfying, whether it's playing through the campaign that we're in the middle of, whether it's playing through single shots, I still find it so satisfying to try to combo and build and work your way through whatever creatures are facing off against you and trying to accomplish your goals. Later on Tuesday, we had the Mint Tin series of games, a series of 4 games. I don't remember all the ones offhand, but the Heritage Farms was not one that I overall enjoyed, felt a little too tedious. It's pick up and deliver, which makes sense, not my genre in general. Then there was Monster Mashup, which was fun, but not necessarily a keeper. There was the Dice Bashes, I think, or Dice Clashes, which again, fun, but not necessarily a keeper. And the one I really did enjoy was, oh my gosh, something Arizona, I think. I can't remember the name of it, the one I can't remember the name of, but it was one about kind of cactuses and a little grid and a little bit of a kind of 2-player back and forth as far as you gathering cards. Really enjoyed that one. Check that one out. We also had later on Tuesday a review for Castlescape, the expansion, Guilds and Gates, or is it Gates and Guilds? One of those two. But the Castlescape is a game that I've overall enjoyed, but again, at the end of the day, there are so many good games, and I try to focus most on the ones that are great to me. Castlescapes is a good game. It's got deck building, it's got area control, it's got building on those fun little towers and trying to take control of them. The expansion just adds good things overall. It adds more player asymmetry, which is a good thing, and then these gates that go on the board, as well as treasure chests, and all of them interacting with a whole set of new cards that further interact with those new elements. So if you like Castlescapes, I think it's a good expansion that adds more to the game. If you don't like Castlescapes, I don't think the expansion is going to change your mind pretty heavily either way. Then on Wednesday we had a review for Bardsung going up. Wednesday was a review for Bardsung, well, first impressions of Bardsung, Tales of the Forsaken Glade, or Forgotten Glade, I think Forsaken Glade, Tales of the Forsaken Glade. Overall, I enjoyed it, but the big problem, and I cover this very much in the first impressions, and I didn't know what I was going to do because I knew this was going to be a problem going in, which effectively, my biggest problem with Bardsung was I felt that the game shunned the most in terms of the nature. When I played through the original Bardsung, where I felt the game was best was not the individual encounters you're going on, and not the overarching length of it, but rather the parts where you do get to build and upgrade your characters and then go on the next mission. The problem is I got to experience neither of those things in this preview first impression, not preview, in this first impressions of Tales of the Forsaken Glade, because I got pre-generated characters because we're starting off through it and going through a single shot. And again, the dungeon crawl part was fine. I enjoyed it. It's just that if I'm just evaluating based on that alone, I prefer other games. And the problem is I didn't get to see the grind because the grind to me was playing Bardsung across 10 to 15 hours and then being like, this is not fun. It's too drawn out between the things I like about the upgrading and continuing back into it. And so I didn't get to see the upgrading of the characters because I didn't have that in the prototype, and I didn't get to see how the grind would play out. So ultimately, the changes they did make, I do enjoy them. I think they're good changes, but they weren't the main issues I had with Bardsung. So I enjoyed Tales of the Forsaken Glade, and I cannot in any way tell you whether that means that I'll enjoy this overall package more than I enjoyed the original. I do know that they are aware of the grind and are planning to address it, but I can't, and like I know that with Horizon Zero Dawn, I know that they took the original game and all the complaints I had there, and they did make a much better sequel. So I know that they have done this successfully in the past, but I can't say whether they're going to do it here or not. At the end of the day, I'm trying to give you an opinion and an impression, and so I felt kind of like in a weird place where I'm like, hey, I like this. This is good, and small tweaks are better. Also, my biggest issue with the game, I don't know if they addressed. So hopefully that makes sense. It's just a weird place to be in because I'm trying to be informative and helpful, and I didn't feel like could be that informative and helpful. Anyways, that was Wednesday's video. On Thursday, we had Queen by Midnight, the Quarter Pass. That's the new version of Queen by Midnight, integratable with the original as well. That was a preview done by Meg. We had a review for Sfynx. Sfynx is a little solo puzzle game. You could play it 1 to 4 players, but ultimately I do feel it is designed primarily as a solo experience, and I enjoyed it as a solo experience, and that's going to be Sfynx from in the people make the Oniverse series, but I don't remember the name of the company, in something, whatever it is. But I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a good little solo puzzle. I am curious about the longevity of it, but that's always a question. I just don't know if it'll hold up over, 15, 20 plays. But for right now, it's definitely one that I enjoy. Then lastly on Thursday, we had Super Fantasy Brawl, a review for Super Fantasy Brawl Reborn. No, not a review. A preview for Super Fantasy Brawl Reborn. This is Meg just going over the game in general, just showing you what's there, any potential changes, all of that. We will have a gameplay as well, and I'll talk more about my thoughts about it, I guess the week after we do the gameplay. But overall, I enjoy Super Fantasy Brawl. There's no major changes here. It's not a major change up. It's not a major change down. It's Super Fantasy Brawl for the most part. Then we had on Friday. Friday we had 2 reviews go up. We had a review for the Ministry of Lost Things, or MOLT. This is an escape room game where you're going to play through it and then send it on to the next person, or, well, I guess you could do a reset and send it, gift it, or whatever it is. Either way, it's an escape room game. And that's the core idea over here. It's from Post Curious, who do a lot of these escape room games, and it's a good escape room game. I enjoyed it, I liked it, and I recommend it overall. I had some small additional thoughts to it, but overall I gave it a 4 out of 5. And then we had a review for the Raising Robots as Friends expansion. This is an expansion to Raising Robots, introducing friends, which are a few main elements. There's basically objectives you can go for. Those objectives will give you friends, which are kind of like mini inventors. They give you little abilities. And then there's also these new robot cards that are going to represent the various countries of the world and give you end game scoring stuff, which is different because the robots have not done stuff like that before. And so overall, I think it's a great expansion to Raising Robots. I do not think it changes up the game drastically. I would always incorporate it. I think if you're looking for something that's going to majorly change the experience, this is not that. If you're looking for a good expansion that will fit in naturally, feel like a perfect fit, and you'll likely always play with, and just gives you more fun robots, this is a good expansion. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And that is everything we have for the various videos and games we've covered this past week, which means as far as this upcoming week, we have a few things. We're going to have a, today we're going to have a gameplay for Royal Hospital going up. I think so? No. Preview for Royal Hospital going up, as well as a review of Tend, the new game from Ivy Games. And then next week we have a few things. We'll have upcoming crowdfunding for the month of November, as well as the top 10 rules, not top 10 rules for crowdfunding that I personally have that we can, hopefully I'll go up this week. We'll see if things get moved around or not, but that will probably go up. Oh, maybe I'll push that. Maybe. I may rearrange things. We'll see. Either way, 10 rules for crowdfunding going up, and that's what we have there. As far as the games on the couch, as usual, these are the games I hope to be diving into over the next, week or so, and we'll see which ones I do. I think at least 2 of them are pretty strong contenders, maybe even 3. 4 would be awesome if we do. We have Trail Story from WizKids. I've read the rules for this. Looks intriguing. Looks like a little bit of a story-based, almost like story-based Carcassonne. Not really. That's a poor example. It's a story-based, encounter-based game where you're managing your various attributes. Seems very intriguing. Not yet sure what my thoughts on it will be. We have Intarja, which looks delightful. Seems like a fun little puzzle. Very Azul-like vibes to it. I'm hoping that I enjoy this one. It looks fun. The rules look quick and easy to dive into. I'm hoping I can even play this today if things go well. We have Western Legends Stories over here. This is going to be the new Western Legends over here, which the main reason I'm intrigued by this is because it has a solo mode to it, a solo story mode that you can go through, which is particularly compelling because to me, Western Legends' biggest flaw is that it doesn't operate great at lower player counts, and at higher player counts, I'm primarily just interested in taking my turn. So I'm curious to see what a solo version of Western Legends looks like, and excited to dive into that. And then lastly, we have World Order, which is from the creators of Hegemony. And this, I've only played half a game so far, because I played a half a game with the designers online to help learn it, and I'm very excited to get my group together and play this one. I liked Hegemony. I liked Hegemony. I mean, this is going to be spoiler first impressions, not a review. I played half a game. I could love this game from today until tomorrow, and my opinion can still go down. Keep that in mind. But I am very overall impressed with the game so far. I'll say that. I think that I'm not into the theme at all. I'm not into modern whatever. But it's kind of deck building and and area control with a theme about world order and taking over countries and all these things like military, influential, economic, all those kinds of things. I think I like this one significantly more than Hegemony. I think. We'll see. Because Hegemony was great, but I think Hegemony is very hard to teach to new people because of the asymmetric rules. This I could probably teach you in 10 minutes and get you up and running for the core idea of how the game operates. And then outside of that, I think I just like deck building and area control a lot as general mechanics. So I don't know if overall this will be better received than Hegemony. I think for me it's better received than Hegemony, but I need to play some full proper games, which I'm hoping to do this week. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Rackle from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an excellent week, and as always, I hope you have a good one.